perish from the earth. And the ability of living organisms to produce its offspring of its own kind is called the reproduction. So here it is very important, its own kind means they maintain their own species from generation to generation. Then we had discussed about the modes of reproduction. What was that? It is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, what we have seen, that fusion of male and female gamete takes place, and then zygote form, and this zygotes further divides and form embryo, then fetus, and a baby give birth, and a baby form inside the uterus. So it was all about the sexual reproduction, in which what is fertilization? So the act of fusion of male and female gamete is called the fertilization. Other than this, we have also discussed about the internal fertilization and external fertilization. So what is this? Internal fertilization takes place inside the female body and external fertilization takes place outside the female body. Other than this, we have also discussed about the reproductive part of males and females. So here we had discussed about the reproductive part of human beings. So in male, what we had seen, that it includes pair of testes, 2 sperm duct and penis. And testis releases millions of sperm. Those are single cell, and each sperm is divided into head, middle piece and tail. Now here we have also seen that testis is an endocrine gland and it is stimulated by the pituitary gland. So what is the role of testis? So we can say that it is an endocrine gland, and when a male reaches at the age of puberty, it is stimulated by the pituitary gland to release a sex hormone that is called the testosterone. Then we had discussed about the sperm ducts, that they are present in 2, and they are the narrow glands which carries the sperm that is released by the ovary. Along with this, numerous fluids are secreted in this duct from the different organs, which combine with these sperm and form a semen. Now what is the role of penis? So it transfers the semen along with the sperm to the female body. So it was all about the male reproductive part. Now here testis releases millions of sperms, and these sperms are distinctly divided into head, middle piece and tail. Now female reproductive part. So it includes a pair of ovaries, fallopian tube or oviduct and uterus. So what is the role of ovary? So ovaries are also an endocrine gland, and when a female reaches at the age of puberty, it is stimulated by the pituitary gland to release a sex hormone that is called the estrogen. Now if we talk about the oviduct and fallopian tube, so these carries the ovum for the fertilization, which is released by the ovary. Now uterus. So here a development of baby takes place. So it was all about the female reproductive part. Now ovum is releases by the ovary. Each ovum releases by the ovary in every month, and they are also a single cell and larger than the sperms. Now it was all about the male and female reproductive part. Then we had discussed about the fertilization. So fertilization means a fusion of male and female gametes. So students, earlier we had discussed about the internal fertilization and external fertilization. So here we have seen that internal fertilization takes place inside the female body. But what about the hens? In hens also internal fertilization takes place, but it lays the eggs. So why internal fertilization? Because development of embryo takes place inside the female body. What happens? As zygote divides, it travels down the oviduct, and along with this, lot of layers formed around the eggs, and a hen lays the eggs that in which a developing embryo is present. Now development of embryo to chicks takes place outside the body, but development of embryo takes place inside the female body. That's why we can say that hence internal fertilization takes place. But if we talk about the external fertilization in frogs and other aquatic animals, so what happens there? Development of embryo also takes place outside the female body. So it was all about the external fertilization. Now we had discussed the development of an embryo, in which what we have seen, that zygote divides repeatedly and forms a ball of cells, and these cells further form a group and form the tissues and other organs of the body. So what are these? These are, for these developing stage in which tissues and organs are formed, are called the embryo, and this embryo gets embedded in the wall of uterus, and further development takes place inside the uterus. Here after developing into embryo, it again start developing and form different parts of the body like eyes, nose, ears, legs. So the stage in which we can identify the parts of the body, that stage of the embryo is called the fetus. Now this fetus developed further to become a complete baby. After that, a mother gives birth to the baby. So it was all about the development of an embryo. Now viviparous animals and oviparous animals. So what are the viviparous animals? So animals which give birth to their young ones are called the viviparous. So it includes mammals like cat, dog, cows, human beings. Then oviparous animals. So animals which lays their eggs and the development of their young ones takes place inside the egg. These kind of animals are called the oviparous animals. Now we had discussed about the young ones to adults, in which we had discussed about the very important function of metamorphosis. So what we have seen, that as we can see, we can easily recognize the adult from their young ones. If you see the baby, you can easily say that one day it will become a man or woman. If you see the kitten, we can definitely say that one day it will become to cat, puppies, one day become to dog. But there are few insects and frogs in which metamorphosis takes place. So if we see the life cycle of silkworm and frogs, what we can see, that eggs changes to caterpillar, then caterpillar changes to pupa, and then suddenly a moth emerges out from the pupa. So here we have seen a drastic changes, and these are the series of changes. And if we talk about the frog, we can see that frog lays the eggs and it is changes to early tadpole, then late tadpole, and suddenly it changes to an adult frog. So what we can see, that young ones of butterflies like pupa and young ones of frogs like tadpole, they do not resemble to their parents. They are completely different to their parents. So why it happens? Because there is a series of drastic changes takes place into their young ones, their life cycle, and because this drastic change is called the metamorphosis. Now we had discussed about the asexual reproduction. So what is asexual reproduction? It means in asexual reproduction, new individuals are formed from their single parent. So there we had discussed about the budding and binary fission. So budding takes place in the hydra, in which a small bulges like growth coming out from the hydra, and these bulges are called the buds. And after few times, these buds get detached from the parent body and form a new individual. So this process is called the budding. What happens in binary fission? So it takes place in the amoeba. If we see the amoeba, so in reproduction, the mode of reproduction takes place in amoeba is asexual, is binary fission. What happens there? A nucleus divided into two nuclei, and it is followed by the partition of its body. And now each part of the body receives a nucleus and form a two amoebas. So this process is called the binary fission in amoeba. So students, it was all about the reproduction in animals. Now let us start with the exercise of reproduction in animals.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag and matching bottle to go with, the right school, the right friends, choose the right subject and score well, be an expert in all, the right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late, the right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets, better get into ladies' compartment. Make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games, IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, axe. The right group and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacation shorter, the bucket list bigger. The night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So students, our first question is explain the importance of reproduction in organisms. So students, earlier we had discussed that there are many life processes like digestion, respiration, circulation, excretion. So these are the very important essential life processes for the human being. Even a single system does not work properly, what would happen? An organism can die. But it is not with the reproduction. It is not important for the survival of human being. But then why it is important? For the continuation of species on this earth. As students, we all know that the living organisms come on this earth for a limited period of time. Their life span is from their birth to the natural death of an organism. So it is very important to organism to reproduce so that the continuity of species maintains on this earth. So if you see the definition of reproduction, it is the process of which an individuals produce their offspring of its own kind. So here a very important word is its own kind. So it means that they continue their species of their own kind from generation to generation. So because of that, reproduction in organisms is very important so that they can continue their own species on this earth from generation to generation. Now next question, describe the process of fertilization in human beings. So students, as we had discussed about the sexual reproduction in which fusion of male and female gametes takes place. The sperm that produces from the male reproductive part, that is testis, and the ovum that produces by the female reproductive part, that is egg from the ovary. So when a sperm come in the contact with the ova, it fuses, and this process act is called the fertilization. And human beings, the fertilization takes place inside the female body, so that we can say that internal fertilization takes place inside the body. And because of fusion of male and female gametes, and this process is called fertilization, so the new individuals resemble to their parents, like few characteristics they get from the father and few from their mother. Now next question, choose the most appropriate answer. So question number A, internal fertilization occurs. So options are in female body, outside female body, in male body, and the last one outside the male body. So the right answer will be inside the female body. The option 1 will be the right answer. Now next question, a tadpole develops into an adult frog by the process of. So here options are option number 1 fertilization, 2 metamorphosis, 3rd embedding, and 4th budding. So the option 2nd metamorphosis is the right answer. So what happens here, drastic changes occurs, so and this process is called the metamorphosis, which takes place inside the life cycle of frog. Now next is the number of nuclei present in a zygote. So the options are none, 2nd 1, 3rd 2, 4th 4. So the right option is option number 3rd. Answer is 2. These are the fused nuclei of sperm and ovum. Now the question number 4, indicate whether the following statements are true or false. So question number 1A, oviparous animals give birth to young ones. It is false. Oviparous animals lays their eggs. B, each sperm is a single cell. Yeah, it is true. Each sperm is a single cell. Now next, external fertilization takes place in frog. Yes, it is true, as the fusion of male and female gametes takes place outside the female body. Next, a new human individual develops from a cell called gamete. No, it is a false. The next question, egg laid after fertilization is made up of a single cell. Yeah, it is true, that is a zygote. Now next, amoeba produces by budding. No, asexual reproduction takes place in amoeba, but budding takes place in hydra. So amoeba produces by budding is false. Now next, fertilization is necessary even in asexual reproduction. So students, it is false, as here if we talk about the asexual reproduction, new individuals are formed from their single parent. So there is no need of fusion and fertilization. Next, binary fission is a method of asexual reproduction. Yes, true. It takes place in amoeba. Now next, a zygote is formed as a result of fertilization. Yes, true. When a male and female gametes fuse, they form a zygote. Now next, an embryo is made up of a single cell. It is false. They are multiple cells. When zygote divides and form a multiple cell, then embryo develops. Now question number 5. Give two differences between a zygote and a fetus.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag, and matching bottle to go with. The right school, the right friends. Choose the right subjects and score well. Be an expert in all. The right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late. The right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets. better get into ladies' compartment and make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games. IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, axe. The right group and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacation shorter, the bucket list bigger, the night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
If we talk about the differences between zygote and fetus, so what is the difference? Like zygote formed by the fusion of two nuclei, but what is fetus? It is a multicellular. Next, no well developed body formed during the fertilization, but if you see the if you talk about the fetus, there is a well defined body part is present, like heads, eyes, nose, legs. And if we talk about the zygote, it is a fusion process, and if we talk about the fetus is the post fertilization process. Now next question, define asexual reproduction and describe two methods of asexual reproduction. So students, what is asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction, when a new individual formed by the single parent, this process is called the asexual reproduction. Now, what are the methods of asexual reproduction? So these are the budding and binary fission. So here if we take the example of Hydra, so you can, if you see the permanent slide of Hydra, you can see one or two more bulges are coming out from their body, and these are called the buds, and when they get detached from their body, they form a new individual, that is a new Hydra. So this process is called the budding. Now next we can take the example of binary fission, which takes place in amoeba, as amoeba is a microscopic organism, and what happens there? A nucleus is divided into two nuclei, and it is followed by the partition of their body, and each part of the body receives a nucleus and form the two amoeba. Now next question, in which female reproductive organ does the embryo get embedded? So students, this is the female reproductive part, that is called the uterus. And what happens when an embryo get detached in the wall of the uterus, and further development takes place inside the uterus from fetus to a baby. Now next question, what is metamorphosis? So as earlier we had discussed that there are few organisms, like if we talk about the butterfly or frog, and if we see the life cycle of their, Then we can see that if you see the life cycle of silkworm, we can see that eggs changes to caterpillar, then caterpillar changes to a pupa, and then suddenly a moth coming out from the pupa. And if we talk about the frogs, what happens? Frog lays the eggs and it changes to a tadpole, that is early tadpole and late tadpole, and then frogs coming out from the tadpole. So here we have seen that series of changes takes place in their life cycle, and the young ones are very much different from their adults. So the metamorphosis is, we can say that metamorphosis is a biological process in which a larva transforms into an adult, and it involves the sudden and abrupt changes, and we can observe it in frogs and butterflies or silkworm. Now next question, differentiate between internal fertilization and external fertilization. So if we talk about the internal fertilization, so fusion of male and female gamete takes place inside the female body. But if we talk about the external fertilization, so fusion of male and female gamete takes place outside the body. If we talk about the survival, chances of survival, so chances of survival is more in the internal fertilization and chances of survival is less in the external fertilization. Now if we take the example of internal fertilization, so human being, cows, dogs, hen, all these comes in the category of internal fertilization. And external fertilization takes place in many aquatic animals like frogs, fishes and starfish. So students, it was all about the exercise of reproduction in animals. So students, if we see here, we had discussed about the what is reproduction, then we had discussed about the modes of reproduction, then we had discussed about the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction, then we have seen different kinds of things like viviparous and oviparous animals, development of an embryo, fertilization, that was external fertilization, and internal fertilization. Then we had discussed about the metamorphosis, that it is a drastic change in few animals life cycle. Then we had discussed about the asexual reproduction. So here we have take the example of where we took the example of hydra and amoeba. So students, it was all about the reproduction in animals, and I hope you understood this chapter more clearly. Thank you.